Howdy chaps, welcome back to another short and sweet one. I don't know if it's going to be short or sweet or anything really, but we are working on the XA again, so I'm sort of stuck with this thing. I'm going to have to actually fix it. So follow along. Right, so we're actually doing the water pump, or at least we're not, I don't know, I'm going to see what the problem is, because at the moment no water is moving around this engine. I took the thermostat off and no, I took the thermostat housing off. There's no thermostat in it. So I'm suspecting there's something wrong with the water pump. Seeing how old it is, it's probably got no impeller on it or something like that. Or it's certainly not seized. Not that you'd see anything through there. Certainly, I don't know, maybe it's got a massive blockage in it. But I thought I'd at least clean it out, figure out what's going on. Got to take it off, have a look. Might stick a new one on, sandblast up that thermostat housing, because these are actually horrendously expensive. If you went googling them, you wouldn't think it, but they are. Put that all back together. Problem is it's missing the thermostat itself. Like, even when you cut the guts out of them, you should still put most of it back in, so it actually slows the water down a little bit. So we're just going to crack into this. It's fairly straightforward. Radiator's only 4 bolts around here, hoses, and then I don't think there's actually that many bolts to hold that water pump on. It's probably one of the most simplest cars to work on ever. So we'll do that. Everything else seems to be nice. The radiator is quite nice, but I'm going to pressure wash it and clean it out, and then we'll pressure wash in the block and try and get that out, because this thing just gets hot real fast. And of course we took the brake master cylinder off, so we need to replace the brake line that goes down there. Didn't break the other two, but of course you always break one, but at least the one that broke is the shortest one to make. So we'll probably end up putting 2 rubber lines on the front, a new master cylinder, bleed up the brake so it stops, probably put a new clutch master cylinder on it. Even though that one works, I just don't know how long it's going to work for, because it was exposed. And change out the petrol tank so that actually, works properly. And then this can be a drivable entity, and then we can tidy it up more, and then we can actually use it potentially. I might even have to put it through a numbers check, because I know at the moment the thing that's scaring people off the most is the fact that it doesn't have walk-in rego. Now, for any other state on the planet, that doesn't mean nothing, but here in SA, walk-in rego is an amazing thing. So if the car's got number plates and it's on the system still, you don't even have to go near a roadworthy shop to get them back on the road. So that's probably why cars last a hell of a lot longer here in SA. I think Queensland have the same sort of system. So the cars get inspected when they're first put on the road, and then as long as their rego's kept up, they never get inspected ever again. Which is probably why half the cars in Adelaide are crap. Anyway, I'm going to get this water pump off, and I'll see you in a second. Alrighty, all the bolts are free. Let's see what happens. That's not a great feeling. Oh, I'm pretty sure water pumps shouldn't be that hard to remove. Ugh. Well, that's not a good water pump. That backing plate's rusted all the way through. That might explain why it was doing approximately, and carry the 1, do some maths, nothing. Oh. Well, maybe that's dead. File it down there. Yeah, I never had trouble removing one of these till then, so that's not a great sign. Very interesting. Well, that could be some of the problem. Clean it all out, we'll stick another water pump on it. Hopefully a thermostat is not expensive. And the dyno's going in. thermostat housing I can sandblast and put back on to make a new gasket, and might bypass the heater and just put some plugs on them and then try it again. So I think once I've got a bit more progress and maybe another water pump and some things, we will see you back here in a second. Now this isn't going to be a shout out to Ryobi because my channel's not big enough to get sponsored, but they do make a cordless, brushless pressure washer. I'm going to test it out. Oh, and it's got an attachment where you can put a Coke bottle on the end of it. There we go. Oh. Wow. Can get through a bottle of water really fast. I'll admit I was pushing the proverbial up a hill with that. Yeah, I need to fill it up again. It does have a siphon where you can put it into a bucket. It's actually quite a good little unit. And I thought that would work really well for cleaning that out. And it does. I mean, how often do you need to get a pressure washer where a car is and there's no water or power anywhere near you? Oh, that was pretty handy. It's not super powerful, but it is good enough for what I needed to do. And as you can see, it did clean it out fairly well. I'm going to go fill up that bottle again and try again. And just like that, for you, it's been 2 seconds. To me, it's been a couple of hours. So we now have a water pump, some bundy tube, some brake line fittings, and a new master cylinder. That's not going to go on this video, neither will that, but yeah, I can make brake lines, so it's not that hard. This will go on in a minute. We'll clean this up. We have a new thermostat that is over here. It's also raining. We'll put a thermostat in it. So yeah, if you ever have a stuck thermostat and you want to still use the vehicle, you cut here, and the top off that, and you leave this ring open as a restrictor, and that's enough to effectively have it being permanently open. But if you take that out completely and leave it empty like that, the water doesn't spend long enough in the radiator to get cold, or should I say, yeah, basically that's exactly it. So the water's constantly flowing and it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. What this does, it restricts it and keeps it in the radiator so it can be cooled to go back in. So if you take the thermostat out completely, yeah, it might work, but it will eventually get hot. So you need to put at least that restrictor back in. On that Prado I just did, the thermostat was jammed, as in it's jammed shut, and I had to use an oxy torch to get it to pop open. And I was like, well, that would be more than enough to kill the head on that engine. So it's always good when you have a car that's broken to work out what actually broke it, rather than just, yeah, you can fix a problem, but the problem might be not, the issue you have might have been caused by something else. So water pump, thermostat, put that back in, new gaskets, flush the radiator, flush the engine, and see if the cooling system then works. It's always good to know if you can see water flowing in the radiator. So the goal is, in the short term, just keep working on it bit by bit, slowly, and get, well, I want to sell the thing, and it seems, you know, I'm just keep going with it until it's fixed. So very shortly, probably in my spare time, by the end of the week, this should be a running and driving car. And, you know, and I'll just keep tinkering with it. So yeah, I'll do that. I'll get that started, clean off the surfaces, put some new goop on it. I've got to put thread sealant on some of these bolts because they go into a water jacket, particularly that bottom one. Otherwise, if you don't seal the threads, water will leak out. So there's that. I know the alternator works, fuel pump works, carburetor works, new plugs, new points, cap's a little old, leads are a bit old. There's probably a couple of vacuum leaks. Still need to get a stud for that exhaust manifold. But it shouldn't take too much to get this thing functional again, or desirable for somebody to buy. I don't know. Anyway, I will see you in a second. Alrighty, so that's had a trip through the sandblaster. Wire wheel, new gasket, new thermostat. The bolts have been run through, well, at least the threads have been run through on a bench wire brush. Same with all them. They've all got thread sealer on them. Thermostat's now in there. I think I might have just said that. Water pump's on. Gaskets are in. All sealed up and looking lovely. So, very shortly, put all the cooling system back in, fill it back up, and see what it'll do. Right, it's all back together, water's in. Now we play the wetting game. Nothing's moving yet. I had a couple of big burps out of it, so I'm thinking it must be better than it was before. So, still doesn't run happy. It probably could be the bolt missing, the stud missing out of that exhaust manifold. And there's also a crack in that inlet manifold, which kind of sucks because on these engines, the inlet manifold is part of the head, so that's going to suck to fix. Maybe a bit of JB weld or something in there, clean it out, grind it out, and then just meow, meow, meow. It's not the first time I've seen a crack between the carby base and that vacuum fitting. Oh, hello. This could go well or could go badly. Come on now. I'll catch up if anything interesting happens, like I get scolded to death. Almost forgot to mention, the lights are working. The dip switch on the floor was heavily corroded. Pull it apart, pull the contacts out, clean them, put it back together, bolt it back in, plug it back in, and boom, headlights are working now. Just need the indicators, replace the globe holders on both sides, and I'm utterly convinced they'll work again. The rear tail lights work. A few things left. Got to get the, I might have mentioned it 100 times before, the wiper motor's got to come off, be rebuilt. It's not hard, usually just pull it apart, clean it, put it back together, get that working, and then I can get that wiper down from up there, and probably have to pull the Rio out of the dashboard, this little scrolly wheel, to get the dash lights working. All in all, the upside being with an older car, there ain't too much to go wrong. So, and we've got Dad in there at the moment doing the fuel tank. As you can tell, it's not in great condition. So once that's changed, it'll run off the proper fuel tank. The brake master cylinder will be changed in the next day or so. Replace the brake line, get a couple of rubber hoses, and then this thing will be drivable and should stop. What? And then we can work towards fixing up some of the rust, and we might even take it for a numbers check and push our luck. Obviously clean the interior, put maybe some seat covers on it, put some carpet in. That's if I haven't sold it by then, but hopefully, and clean that up. So it's a work in progress, but if you do want it to sing out, let me know. Basically this is just burping big blobs of air out of its system, which is good because it didn't do that before. Alternator works beautifully. I've got to get a battery terminal for this, so get rid of this setup, and yeah, like I've said before, I've got to put a stud in that thing because there's an exhaust leak in it. Probably now I need to put the stud and a new gasket in it to seal up the exhaust. So we're making progress with the old bus. It's good to see the lights on. It sort of makes it look like the car's alive again. I'm alive! Don't die on me! Yeah. I'll catch you up in 2 shakes of a puppy dog's tail. The temp gauge is working, that's something. I'm certain that when I change the fuel tank, that'll work. And it's actually got kilometres and miles an hour on the speedo. And it's not a sticker, it's actually factory. And it's raining again. That now works. Blowing stuff out of the system. Absolutely bucketing down. Now, one thing I've noticed, even I've noticed it, I sometimes repeat myself. That's because I'm very, very nervous behind the camera. I still, after 4.5 years of doing YouTube, I still don't feel comfortable filming. And it always makes me incredibly wound up and nervous, so I'm like, have I said the right thing, or is that the wrong thing? Do I do it? And I always repeat myself 25 times, even though when you meet me in person, I'm usually not that nervous. I'm usually pretty cool, calm and collected, but it just, having a camera on just makes me freak out. Useless trivia you probably didn't need. Right, more updates in a second. Well, that wraps up a fairly successful little video. Yeah, didn't overheat, didn't blow anything out of the radiator, I didn't die being burnt. Still not happy with that carburetor, but because it's running, but it's, you know, these things run smoother than that. It's like it's got a little it's just got a little, it's like it every now and again it steps on a Lego brick. It's like anyway, I'll leave it there and I'll see you on the next one when we probably mess around with the brakes. Yeah.